Welcome back, class. So this is second lecture in the measures of dispersion series. In the previous class we studied the first measure of dispersion, easy to calculate, easy to understand, but with a lot of demerits. Though having some demerits, this particular measure of dispersion is used in variety of decision making process. So we calculated this range, and it is used in majorly it is used in weather forecasts, and in stock exchange. So in this case, the meteorological department for weather forecasting use this range so that the difference between the minimum temperature and the maximum temperature can be communicated to the public, which is of great use. And in a stock exchange, it is used to check the to look into the fluctuations in the prices of the securities. So it is to track the fluctuations. Apart from these two, there are many uses other also, like when you try to find out the uh, gap in the wages, and sometimes it is used in to track the gap or rise and fall in price level. So these are some of the uses of range as a measure of dispersion. The next measure of dispersion we have is quartile deviation. So the moment I say quartile deviation, you should be able to recall the concept of positional averages, and particularly the quartiles. So these are the partition values, and that partition values concept will be used in this quartile deviation. So one more name, which is your semi interquartile range. So we calculate the first absolute measure here is as in the form of interquartile range, and it is sometimes written like this: inter hyphen quartile range as an absolute measure. So this is calculated as the difference between third quarter and the first quarter. So you will see that if this is a data set, this is your median in a symmetric distribution, this is your Q1, this is your third quarter. So you are trying to tap this gap. This is the range we are calculating in this interquartile range concept. This range from Q1 to So as interquartile range is a positional based measure of dispersion which depends on your first and third quarter, this will include the 50% of the entire data. So now you see that this interquartile range is not affected by the extreme values, rather it is making its choice on the center 50% of the data, leaving the first 25% alone and the last 25% alone. So the dispersion is calculated from the mid 50% of the data. Another concept which comes under this is quartile deviation. So this was interquartile range. Another is your quartile deviation. So this is just an extension of this interquartile range. So in this the first step was, the first measure of dispersion was range, where you calculated the difference between the largest value and the smallest value and called it as range. Now it is interquartile range, which means the range between the quartiles. So the two quartiles are Q3 and Q1. So you are calculating the difference between Q3 and Q1 and calling it as interquartile range. So that's the same range concept, but removing the demerits of the range as a measure of dispersion. The extension of this interquartile range, the further development leads you to another measure of dispersion, and it is also an absolute measure. In its absolute form, this quartile deviation is sometimes referred as QD is equal to the interquartile range and its average. So this quartile deviation will give you average amount by which these two quartiles differ from the median. So how these two, see, considering it as a symmetric distribution, जब हम symmetric distribution इसको consider करते हैं, I hope you remember the concept of symmetric distribution, wherein your mean, median and mode all are lying at the same place. So in this symmetrical distributions, these two quartiles, which is your Q1 and Q3, are equidistant from the median. So if I calculate, if I further drill into this, I'll say that if you deduct from median your quartile 1, this will be equal to the difference between Q3 minus median. Why? Because in a symmetric distribution, these 2 points, these are equidistant. So this quartile deviation, this is also covering the 50% of the data. In this quartile deviation is a absolute measure of dispersion, and hence it cannot be used for the comparison. For comparison, we will look into its relative version, which is coefficient of quartile deviation. So the coefficient of quartile deviation is going to be Q3 minus Q1 divided by Q3 plus Q1. It is developed from the quartile deviation and its totality. So this is your relative measure of quartile deviation. This is absolute measure of quartile deviation, and this is your interquartile range. So three things have been covered so far in this concept. So far we have covered range, coefficient of range. Removing the demerits of range, we covered this quartile range, or I should write it as interquartile range. So this is inter quartile range. Further, it was your quartile deviation and its relative part as coefficient of quartile deviation. So these were your absolute measures and these are your relative measures. So there will be some questions based on your quartile deviation, and you'll see that this quartile deviation and coefficient of quartile deviation happens to be a very popular topic from the point of view of your examination. But for now we are not going into the solution of the questions and the problems, so that will be done in the third lecture. In the third lecture we will cover the questions based on your range, your interquartile range, your quartile deviation, your coefficient of quartile deviation, and some mean deviation or average deviation. So in this lecture we will be moving towards the mean deviation first. So let us talk about the merits and demerits of this quartile deviation. Let us first talk about the merits. This quartile deviation is easy to calculate. It's a positional average. Since median is easy to calculate, since the partition value is easy to calculate, you just need to locate the class. So this deviation based on the partition values, especially quartile 3 and quartile 1, it's an easy to calculate measure of dispersion. Then it's better than range. Why? We know that range had some demerits. This quartile deviation is able to remove some demerits of the range, yet this quartile deviation also have some negative points, and that is why we need a better method of measuring the dispersion. Another merit, not affected by extreme values या फिर extreme observations. Now if you are able to observe, you will see that we are getting this merits and demerit things by comparing the requisites and good measure of dispersion properties. So what we covered in the first lecture, this quartile deviation is very useful when it is desired to study the variability in the central half part of the data. Why? Because this Q3 minus Q1 is explaining about the middle 50% of the data. So if we want to track this 50%, हम यहाँ पर कोई वेरिएशन ढूंढना चाहते हैं. If we are not concerned about the low scorers and very high scorers, and we think that the data is fluctuating because the middle performers are having some variations, and we want to track this, then this quartile deviation is very useful tool for measuring the dispersion in the central portion of the data. Now let us talk about the demerit portion. Few demerits, yet very important. That is why we are moving to another form of measure of dispersion. Now One property of a good measure of dispersion says that that measure of dispersion should take into account all or at least maximum observations of the data set. But since this is ignoring a major part, so it cover 50% of the data, which means that it is ignoring rest 50% of the data, which is again you are ignoring half of the data set, and yet you are claiming that measure to be explaining the dispersion among the data. So that's a difficult scenario, since it is leaving the first 25% and last 25%. Hence, this measure is not based on all the observations. Another part, further mathematical treatment not possible. There are many reasons, but the most important reason, the most crucial reason is that it is based on a positional format. Last point, sampling fluctuations cause vulnerability. Fluctuations in the sampling method, in the sampling errors, this measure of dispersion is vulnerable to those fluctuations. Now we are moving towards the perfect measure of dispersion. So we want to remove these demerits. In the search, in the pursuit of a perfect measure of dispersion, we find yet another measure of dispersion which is known as mean deviation. So after your range and your quartile deviations, this one measure of dispersion is a bit mathematical in nature, bit calculation in nature, and is based on the mean. So the concept here is this measure of dispersion is trying to tap the difference in the difference between the observations and its collective mean. So they are trying to find out the difference between all the observation individually, then they try to average out that difference so that they can get the average variation. So in the mean deviation, this measure of dispersion, it depends on taking the arithmetic average, your mean of the deviations of given values from a measure of central tendency. So the definition given by Clark and Skade, that this average deviation, you are calculating the deviation and then you are averaging out the deviation. This average deviation is nothing but is the average amount of scatter of the items in a distribution from either, so this is point to note, from either mean or median. So where it is not possible to calculate the mean, we take another central tendency measure as median to calculate the mean deviation or median deviation, average deviation. Important thing is ignoring the signs of the deviations. What we do? We ignore the negative and positive signs from the deviation. So what happened? The average that is taken of the scatter is an arithmetic mean which accounts for the fact that this measure is called as, often called as, mean deviation. So this average is taken from the central tendency measure, that is why it is called as mean deviation. So this definition will become more clear once we look into the formula for calculating this mean deviation. It is very easy to understand if you understand the definition. So how we go about this? Let us say that there is a given set of data. Let us say that the data given here is as we say x1, x2, x3, and this goes by xn. So how we calculate this mean deviation? And this is about average as A. So this average can be your arithmetic mean, this average can be your median. So the generic formula for calculating this mean deviation about any generic average is summation of mod x minus a divided by n, which again can be written as, so there is no need to be confused about this. If there is a data x and you have calculated its mean, its average as a, so you will find a d here. How you calculate? You minus x minus a, x2 minus a, x3 minus a, x4 minus a. The values here are x1, x2, x3, x4. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to calculate the gap, the dispersion, the variation between the average and the actual observation individually. And at last we are summating these differences and we are putting a mod around this. So we are putting this A is average, so it is just for the representational purpose. So we are putting a mod around this D so that we ignore these signs. So हम यहाँ पर चाहे नेगेटिव है तो उसको हम पॉजिटिव ही बना के लिखेंगे. तो ये इस मॉड में हम लोग इसका साइन जो है इग्नोर कर रहे हैं. Then we add these things, these mod D, and put this into the formula, and you get your mean deviation. As simple as that. So mean deviation, generally we get this mean deviation through any of the three averages, be it a median, arithmetic mean, be it a mode. तो आप चाहे उसको मीन से निकालें, अर्थमेटिक मीन से निकालें, मीडियन से निकालें, चाहे मोड से निकालें, बट सिंस दिस मोड is generally not very specific, so we try to stick around only mean and median. इसमें फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस हमारी मीन की ही रहने वाली है, उसके बाद हम लोग मीडियन को सेकंड प्रेफरेंस देते हैं. But there is an advantage of calculating this mean deviation through median. Why? Because the sum of deviations of items from median is least when the signs are ignored. I repeat, there is an advantage, so I should write it here, that the advantage is here when you calculate mean deviation through median. Why? So this answer is that the sum of deviations, this we must have studied in our measure of central tendency chapter, the sum of the deviations of items from median is least when signs are ignored. So I don't think that there is any need to look into the procedure, into the step by step. If you know the formula, you know how to apply it. So that was about the individual series, but if you are operating with a discrete series, you know that there is one additional variable which is your frequency. So how you calculate your mean deviation is equal to, you get your frequency multiplied to your mod deviation x minus a n. So this is going to be your, so first you calculate this average, be it mean, median, you calculate another column as difference between these two, you ignore the sign, then you multiply that difference with the frequency, then you add all these things. So the procedure will be like this: x minus a mod, then f into x minus a mod, and you summate them. Here you get the d. Now if this, it's a continuous series, so there is no change, just your x will become your mid value. So this was about absolute measure. This mean deviation was absolute measure. Now for a relative measure, we calculate coefficient of mean deviation. So coefficient of mean deviation will be mean deviation divided by mean, अगर ये आपने मीन से कैलकुलेट किया है, और mean deviation divided by median if you have calculated it through median. So this coefficient of mean deviation, as it is a relative measure, it will be independent of the units of measurement and it is very useful for comparing the dispersion among the different data sets. So this was all for today, and in the next class we will do some questions based on mean deviations, quartile deviations, interquartile, range, and the previous measures. And there is one more measure of dispersion which we'll undertake in the next to next class, which will be your standard deviation, the most used measure of dispersion in the series. So thanks, this marks end of the lecture. Have a good day.